back with part two. And certainly, I answered. Then goodbye, Mr. Jabez Wilson, and let me congratulate you once more on the important position which you have been fortunate enough to gain. He bowed me out of the room, and I went home with my assistant, hardly knowing what to say or do. I was so pleased at my own good fortune. Well, I thought over the matter all day, and by evening I was in low spirits again, for I had quite persuaded myself that the whole affair must have been some great hoax or fraud, though what its object might be I could not imagine. It seemed altogether past belief that anyone could make such a will that they would pay such a sum for doing anything so simple as copying out the Encyclopedia Britannica. And Vincent Spaulding did what he could to cheer me up, but by bedtime I had reasoned myself out of the whole thing. However, in the morning, I determined to have a look at it anyhow, so I bought a penny bottle of ink with a quill pen and 7 sheets of foolscap paper. I started off for Pope's Court. Well, to my surprise and delight, everything was as right as possible. The table was set out ready for me, and Mr. Duncan Ross was there to see that I got fairly to work. He started off upon the letter A, and then he left me. But he would drop in from time to time to see that all was right with me. At 2 o'clock, he bade me good day, and complimented me upon the mate that I had written, and locked the door of the office after me. And this went on day after day, Mr. Holmes, and on Saturday the manager came in and planked down for golden sovereigns for my week's work. Sovereigns for my week's work. Sorry, I had to go into something. It was the same next week, and the same the week after. Every morning I was there at 10, and every afternoon I left at 2. By degrees, Mr. Duncan Ross started coming in only once of a morning, and after a time he did not come in at all. And still, of course, I never dared leave the room. For an instant, for I was not sure when he might come, and the billet was such a good one and suited me so well that I would not risk the loss of it. 8 weeks passed away like this, and I had written about abbots and archery and armour and architecture and etiquette, and hoped with diligence that I might get to the bees before very long. It cost me something in foolscap, and I had pretty nearly filled a shelf with my writings. And then suddenly the whole business came to an end. To an end? Yes, sir. And no later than this morning, I went to work as usual at 10 o'clock. The door was shut and locked with a little square of cardboard hammered onto the middle of the panel with a tack. And there it is, and you can read it for yourself. He held up a piece of white cardboard about the size of a sheet of notepaper. It read in this fashion: The Red-Headed League is dissolved, October 9th, 1890. And Sherlock Holmes and I surveyed this curt announcement and the rueful face behind it, until the comical side of the affair so completely overtopped every other consideration that we both burst out into a roar of laughter. I cannot see that there is anything very funny, cried our client, flushing up to the roots of his flaming hand. If you could do nothing better than laugh at me, I can go elsewhere. No, no, cried Holmes, shoving him back into the chair from which he had half risen. I really wouldn't miss your case for the world. It is most refreshingly unusual. But there is, if you will excuse me saying so, something just a little funny about it. Pray, what steps did you take when you found the card upon the door? I was staggered, sir. I did not know what to do. Then I called the officers round, but none of them seemed to know anything about it. And finally, I went to the landlord. It was an accountant living on the ground floor, and I asked him if he could tell me what had become of the Red-Headed League. He said that he had never heard of any such body. And then I asked him who Mr. Duncan Ross was. He answered that that name was new to him. Well, said I, the gentleman at number 4. What, the red-headed man? Yes. Oh, said he. His name was Wilson Morris. He was a solicitor, and he was using my new room as a temporary convenience until his new premises was ready. He moved out yesterday. Where could I find him? Oh, at his new offices. He did tell me the address. Yes, 17 King Edward Street, near St. Paul's. I started off, Mr. Holmes, but when I got to that address, it was a manufactory of artificial kneecaps, and no one in it had ever heard either Mr. William Morris or Mr. Duncan Ross. And what did you do then? Asked Holmes. I went to Saxe Coburg Square and I took the advice of my assistant, but he could not help me in any way. I could only say that if I waited, I should hear by post. But that was not quite good enough, Mr. Holmes. I did not wish to lose such a place without a struggle. And so, I had heard that you were good enough to give advice to poor folk who were in need of it. I came right away to you. And you did very wisely, said Holmes. Your case is an exceedingly remarkable one, and I shall be happy to look into it. From what you have told me, then it is possible that graver issues hang from it than what might, at first sight, appear. Grave enough, said Mr. Jabez Wilson. Why, I have lost £4 a week. As far as you are personally concerned, remarked Holmes, I do not see that you have any grievances against this extraordinary league. On the contrary, you are, as I understand, richer by some £30, to say nothing of the minute knowledge which you have gained on every subject which comes under the letter A. You have lost nothing by them. No, sir, but I want to find out about them, and who they are, and what their object was in playing this prank, if it was a prank, upon me. It was a pretty expensive joke for them. It cost them £32. We shall endeavour to clear up these points for you. And first, one or two questions, Mr. Wilson. The the assistant of yours, who first called your attention to the advertisement, how long had he been with you? About a month, then. And how did he come? In answer to an advertisement. Was he the only applicant? No, I had a dozen. Why did you pick him? Because he was handy, and he would come cheap. And half wages, in fact. Yes. What is he like, this Vincent Spaulding? Small, stout build, very quick in his ways. No hair on his face, so he's not short of 30. There's a white splash of acid upon his forehead. Holmes sat up in his chair in considerable excitement. I thought as much. Have you ever observed his ears are pierced for earrings? Yes, sir. He told me that a gypsy had done it for him when he was a lad. Hm, said Holmes, sinking back in deep thought. He is still with you. Oh, yes, sir. I've only just left him. And has your business been attended to in your absence? Nothing to complain of, sir. There's never very much to do of a morning. That will do, Mr. Wilson. I shall be happy to give you an opinion upon the subject in the course of a day or two. Today is Saturday, and I hope that by Monday we may have come to a conclusion. Well, Watson, said Holmes when our visitor had left us, what do you make of it all? I make nothing of it, I answered frankly. It is a most mysterious business. As a rule, said Holmes, the more bizarre a thing is, the less mysterious it proves to be. It is your commonplace, featureless crimes which are really puzzling, and just as a commonplace face is the most difficult to identify. but I must be prompt over this matter. What are you going to do then? I asked. To smoke, I answered. It's quite a 30 pipe problem, and I beg that you won't speak to me for 50 minutes. He curled himself up in his chair with his thin knees drawn up to his hawk like nose, and there he sat with his eyes closed and his black clay pipe thrusting out like the bill of some strange bird. I had come to the conclusion that he had dropped asleep, and indeed was nodding myself, when he suddenly sprang out to his chair with the gesture of a man who had made up his mind, and put his pipe down upon the mantelpiece. "And Sarasate plays at St. James Hall this afternoon," he remarked. "What do you think, Watson? Could your patient spare you a few hours?" "I have nothing to do today. My practice is never very absorbing." "Then put on your hat and come. I'm going through the city first, and we have some lunch on the way." I observe that there is a good deal of German music on the programme. It is rather more to my taste than the Italian or French. It is introspective, and I want to introspect. Come along. We travelled by the underground as far as Alders Gate, and a short walk took us to Saxe Coburg Square, the scene of the single story which we had listened in the morning. It was a poky, little, shabby genteel place, with four lines of dingy two-story brick houses looked into a small railed-in enclosure, where a lawn of weedy grass and a few clumps of faded laurel bushes made a hard fight against the smoke-laden and uncongenial atmosphere. Three gilt bowls and a brown board with Jabez Wilson in white letters upon a corner house announced the place where our red-headed client carried on his business. Sherlock Holmes stepped in front of it with his head on one side, looked it all over with his eyes shining brightly between puckered lids. Then he walked up slowly up the street, and then down again to the corner. And still looking keenly at the houses. And finally, he returned to the pawnbrokers, and having thumped vigorously on the pavement with his stick 2 or 3 times, he went up to the door and knocked. It was instantly opened by a bright-looking, clean-shaven young fellow, who asked him to step in. "Thank you," said Holmes. "I only wish to ask you how you go from here to the Strand." "Third right, fourth left," answered the assistant promptly, closing the door. "A smart fellow that," observed Holmes, so he walked away. "He is, in my judgment, the fourth smartest man in London, and for daring I'm not sure that he has a claim to be third. I've known something of him before." "Evidently," said I. "Mr. Wilson's assistant counts for a good deal in this mystery of the Red-Headed League. I am sure that you inquired to Louis immediately in order that you might see him." "Not him. What then?" "The knees of his trousers. What did you expect to see?" "What did you see?" "What I expected to see." "Why did you beat the pavement?" "My dear doctor, this is a time for observation, not for talk. We are spies in an enemy's country. We know something of Saxe Coburg Square. Let us now explore the paths which lie behind it." I will leave that there for today, but I will continue probably tomorrow. Thank you for listening.